Welcome back to Apatros Review. In this episode, RoboCop 3. Hi there, welcome back to Apatros Review. Now I do apologize for the lack of videos in the past 6 days because the rainy weather we had has played havoc with my reception. Anyway, in this episode we look at the film RoboCop 3, directed by Fred Dekker in the year 1993. Now this film was released as part of the RoboCop trilogy box set twice, first in the early 2000s and then later in the mid-2010s in the summer pack. It was never released on its own. Now for the story. Omnia Consumer Products have been taken over by the Kanemitsu Corporation from Japan, and all Detroit has been earmarked for demolition in order to build Delta City. But the residents of the old city have been forcibly evicted from their homes, without being compensated or consenting to the procedure. As the rehabs, veteran mercenaries fresh from the Amazon War, carry out the forced removal of the residents, a small group of evictees decide to form a resistance movement to fight them. After her parents are killed after getting separated from them, young orphan Nico decides to help the rebels by using their advanced computing skills to reprogram an Ed 209 sentry droid and use it to break into the police armory and steal weapons. RoboCop comes to arrest them but makes a judgment call to divert away and rescue his partner Alan Lewis from an attack by the Splatterpunks, a gang of violent junkies who like to butcher their victims. As a result, the rebels get away and RoboCop is threatened by his OCP controls of a lobotomy. Refusing the order, and after Lewis is killed by the rehab's commander, RoboCop decides to join the rebels in a last-ditch attempt to stop the OCP's rehab mercs, the Splatterpunks, and Kanemitsu's advanced Automa android assassins as they wage a war in the ruins of old Detroit. Now, RoboCop was a science fiction classic from the late 1980s and one of the greatest sympathetica of that decade, centered on the story of an honest cop who is brutally killed by scummy thugs and then resurrected as an invincible cyborg, who then cleans up the streets while partaking in exposing the corruption of the corporation that finances the revival, and also royally kicked the asses of the criminals who killed him. To say that the film became a hit is an understatement. This film quickly became a legend and spawned a franchise with the first sequel in 1990, being something of an unrated gem, despite not getting the critical respect it deserved, and this third entry in 1993. Now, I am a RoboCop fan from way back. In the very late 1980s, as I was living in Yugoslavia, my dad sent me VHS tapes of the Rambo films of RoboCop. I used to watch them practically every day, building up my skills as a family VCR, as I learned how to master the slow-mo button on the remote. I almost wore out those tapes. I didn't get another copy until 2002 when I bought the DVD. I originally saw RoboCop 2 in one of my uncle's bootleg videotapes, along with several other films that I'll review as time goes on. So to say that I'm a diehard RoboCop fan would be putting it lightly. As fast for the sequel, I was quite disappointed in it, although not to the extent that most other fans were. Indeed, the critical mauling that RoboCop 3 endured gave it an unenviable reputation as one of the worst sequels ever made. To be honest, even though director Fred Dekker mishandled the film in a major way, the chief bad decision he made was to turn the film franchise from a violent dark comedy satire of 1980s corporate raider culture into a childish action comedy with the action scenes dialed down to appeal to younger fans. Not a good idea since it didn't matter. I was only 5 years old when I saw the original film for the first time, resulting in the film's juvenile humor alienating many fans and pleasing just about nobody. This film ain't exactly awful. I'd happily watch this over something like the Michael Bay Transformers franchise or those stupid Resident Evil films. Not just that, but the film does serve a surprising purpose of introducing young children of adult fans who aren't too fussy about the violence to the franchise without exposing them to anything nasty, like dirty jokes or gore effects. So in a way, this film, at least in my opinion, actually succeeds at being a kid-friendly RoboCop film. If you're a fan of the original film and want to share your love of the franchise to your kids, then RoboCop 3 is a pretty good pick for the first screening of your little ones, although you might need to keep an eye on them as the action scenes do come with a mild sense of threat and key characters in the franchise get killed. So you can probably see that I'm a diehard RoboCop fan. Yeah, I didn't hate RoboCop 3 with the same passion that the fans normally reserve for something like the infamous 30th anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead. I actually see that the film, for all its mistakes in making old Robo so weak that even a 40mm rifle grenade poses a severe threat to him, even though he went through like 10 times the damage in the first two films, or the utterly useless Automa android, ninjas, who seem to have an addiction to cigarettes, although that might have been programmed into them to make them more badassery. Nice try, Dick, it didn't work. And also seem to be able to be hacked by a young girl with a children's grade laptop, or the unholy sight of Robocop driving the pink pimpmobile that seems to have been modified to survive massive amounts of ammunition. Is this what inspired the makers of the stupid Grand Theft Auto games? or the irritating buffoonery of Rip Torn's the CEO of OCP, RoboCop 3 was at least made in the same spirit that the franchise was built on, although with a kid-friendly feel. In my mind, this ain't a terrible film, but only a mediocre one best suited for entertaining young children. Now for the gore report. The violence here has been dialed down to avoid offending little kids, so it has a cartoony feel to it. There is a decent body count, but the film could very well be a PG-13. In Australia, it has been rated M, allowing under 15s to watch with impunity. So in other words, no gore, not like the first two films. As for nudity, cut and paste the previous statement for this one. There is one scene where two rehabs try to pick up an underage hooker, but she refuses them and RoboCop backs her up by shooting the offending mercs. No skin scene. As for the DVD for RoboCop 3 was put out by MGM, issued as part of the RoboCop trilogy box. Originally in a box of 3 separate cases matching standard sleeves, then reissued in a similar package a decade later, although with different packaging to the original set. It should be noted that RoboCop 3 has never seen a standalone release. If you do come across a single release of RoboCop 3, it will be of the original, might be taken from the original set. Now, the picture quality is very good, indeed practically almost perfect, aside from some slight washing out of the color palette, probably part of the film's design, or the removal of the original text from the print, namely location cues, which are instead replicated onto the subtitle tracks of the DVD. MGM was doing this to all of their classic films, from Return of the Living Dead to The Terminator. Not a good idea. The sound comes in 5 options: English, German, French, Italian, and Spanish, all in stereo with a minimal 192 kilobyte bit rate. I watched the film with all 5 soundtracks for completeness' sake, and they were all okay. Subtitles come in 10 languages, including English, and are all almost totally accurate to the spoken word. The only supplement on this disc is the trailer, which is in 133. The quality of the trailer looks pretty mediocre. Indeed, it resembles the VHS rip, and the subtitles don't cover it. The menu design is similar to the style of the first 2 films, but without any motion CGI parts of music. I give RoboCop 3 a D+, 3 out of 10, meaning it is a mediocre film that doesn't do anything special to the franchise, but offers an interesting ploy to allow those who are otherwise unable to see the first 2 films a chance to enjoy the franchise and to buy them sometime before they grow up to be able to see the previous films. So that's a review for RoboCop 3. I will review the first 2 RoboCop films and the remake and the Prime Directive series in the future. And that's it for this review.